As you know, in social studies, my dears, this subject is very nice. Why? Because it gives us a glance of history, a glance of sometimes geography, a glance of how to deal with people, a glance of cultures, sometimes of society, of psychology. So we have all of these studies in one book. That makes that book is very nice for us because it contains a lot of information and it is very educative for us. Today, inshallah, we are going to have some type of history and we are going to dive in deep to know about the Phoenician Empire. Phoenician Empire, we are talking about the Phoenician civilization. What is the Phoenician civilization and who is the Phoenician Empire and what did they do during the history? This is what we are going to know together. I want you to go and to open your books, my girls, on the page 101. Okay, in the page 101, as you can see, we're going to talk about the Phoenician Empire. So, who is the Phoenician Empire? This is
I know it.
a ship from a Phoenician, the Phoenician Empire. Those are people who lived in the northern part of Asia, near of the Mediterranean Sea. So, who are the Phoenician Empire? This is the empire of the Phoenicians. They lived in the area of Palestine and Lebanon and Syria and extended to Syria and Turkey. And they lived along the coast of what? Of the Mediterranean Sea. This is the Mediterranean Sea, my girls. Mediterranean Sea, البحر الأبيض المتوسط. This is, as we know, it's in the north of Africa and to the west of Asia. So this is Asia. All of this is Asia continent right here. I want you to imagine that all of this right here is Asia, okay? At the west of Asia, here we have Syria, we have Lebanon, we have Palestine, and then we have here Africa, okay? In the west of Asia and in the north of Africa, there's a big sea. This sea, we call it Mediterranean Sea, البحر الأبيض المتوسط. What we know about the Mediterranean Sea, it is a very nice sea that all the countries around it, they will have a very warm summer, not very hot, and in the winter they will have cold winter, and they will have during the whole year, they will have a lot of rainfall and they will have sometimes snow. So that makes the countries near of the Mediterranean Sea, they have a nice climate for what? For farms, for crops, for jungles, for having trees, for having citrus fruit, alhamdiyat, which is like orange, like lemon. So all of those areas from Syria to Palestine, all of those areas, they have a plenty of farms and a plenty of crops and plenty of food. Why? Because the weather they have is very nice that makes aslan the trees grow by itself because of the rainfall. So if every person or any person who comes to this area, they will like it and they will live in this area. Why? Because they will have plenty of food without any effort. With the rainfall, you will have a lot of olive trees, you will have a lot of citrus trees, and if you of course plant your own trees, you will have a plenty of them. Why? Because the place right there is very generous with the weather and very generous with the water, with the rainfall. So it makes it easier for the people to live in there. Let me show you some part of Lebanon and Syria and Palestine to understand what I'm talking about. Mm. For example, this is Lebanon. This is Lebanon. You see? All the country like this. It's full of trees. Can you see the picture with me, girls?
Yeah.
All the
Yes.
country like this. I'm
Yes.
talking about Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Palestine. All of these countries near of the Mediterranean Sea, they have farms like this. These farms, by the way, they have plenty of them because why? Because Aslan, the area is full of rainfall. The whole year they have a lot of rainfall, warm weather that makes the whole place is greenish and full of trees. If you plant your own farms, you will have a plenty of them. So that makes the area good to spend the time in there and amazing if you want to have your own. This is the Mediterranean Sea, by the way, and this is the green place that I'm talking about. So this is this is some part of Lebanon, and this is why it attracts the people from all over the world to live in places like this: Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, Jordan. Let's go for Syria, for example. This is also Syria. You see, this is Syria. This is Syria. All green. You feel like you are in Turkey. But why? Because their weather is very nice for those things. Huh? You see, this is Syria also. All of these places are Syria.
Well, it
Okay.
was. Now
Let's
it's
let's go
damaged.
for Palestine, for example. Palestine, they have a lot of farms in there. Let me try to bring for you.
Wow.
This is
It's so
Palestine.
cool. It's so nice. They have nice nature.
Yes. Okay. This is Palestine. This is Palestine, you see? This is
I've never
Palestine.
seen a river before.
Yes, they
It's
have.
so cool, subhanAllah.
This is Palestine. This is a city in Palestine. It's called Bisan, Medinat Bisan in Palestine. There's another, let me show you this. This is the Mediterranean Sea, and this is Haifa city in Palestine. You see how's the green right here? All of the coasts, it will be so green and full of trees. This is Haifa, full of trees, and all the people they will live in there near the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. So if you think about it in this way, you would know why the Phoenician people they stayed in there and they settle in the area of what? In the area of near the Mediterranean Sea, because it's a very nice area to settle down, to have plenty of food, and to have a nice weather, not very cold, not very hot, and to establish your own kingdom. So the people stayed there for how many years? They stayed in there for 3,000 years. Wow. So the civilization of Phoenician lasted for 3,000 years? Yes. They lasted for 3,000 years along history. So it's like the pharaohs and like the old people who came before. It's a very nice and big and long civilization that lasted more than 3,000 years. Let's see what the Phoenician do during the 3,000 years, what they added to history, how they lived their lives. Do we have any pictures of them? Yes, we have not only pictures, we have only also some remains and ruins of their civilization, which means that we have some evidence that those people really existed. Those evidence, some of them are some written things that they left behind them, some drawings and some pictures that they left behind them. Also, some pottery, some objects that made of pottery and made of clay that was left behind them. A lot of things. Also, some buildings that were left behind the Phoenician people that really say to people that those people really existed for a long time and they left many things behind them. So the Phoenician were the people who migrated from Arabian Peninsula in 3000 years BC and settled in the land of Canaan between Syria and Egypt. This place, which is Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine, all of them, they were called through history Bilad Canaan. Okay, all of this, yani all of these countries, their name was one thing, Bilad Canaan. Canaan place. Okay, so the Canaan people, we call them in history Al-Kanaaniyun. Al-Kanaaniyun, they were Arab. They were people who talks Arabic language. And the Phoenician people, they came from the Arabian Peninsula, which is from Saudi Arabia and from the Gulf cities, and they settled in Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan and Palestine. That's why if you go for Jordan or for Syria, you will find some people who are talking Bedouin like the people of Saudi Arabia. And you will be amazed, like how the Syrian people they are talking with al, like ultillak, ultilli. But if you go for Syrian, some areas of Syria, you will find Bedouin people, يعني بدويين. They will talk like عطني هذا وعطني يعني they will talk with the Bedouin accent. How طيب? Because أصلا the people in Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, they came أصلا from where? They came from the Arabian Peninsula, اللي هي الجزيرة العربية. Who are in the الجزيرة العربية or the Arabian Peninsula? We know that the Arab are in the Arabian Peninsula. طيب, where the Arab came from أصلا? They came, all the Arabs, they came from Yemen. كل العرب اللي في الدنيا شايفيتهم الحين they came from Yemen. Okay? So they came from Yemen, they spent the time in Arabian Peninsula. And then they traveled from Arabian Peninsula, they went to the Canaan area. That's why after that, all the people, all the Arabs separated for Africa. They separated for some of them, they spread in Turkey. Some of them, they went to Iraq and Bahrain and Emirat. Some of them go to the east and some of them go to the west, to Mediterranean Sea and to African continent. So this is how the Arabs separated in the first place. All the Arab, they came from one source, which is Yemen. So that's why we call Yemen أصل الحضارة, or the source of civilization of Arabs. Why? Because we came, all the people came from Yemen. If you even go and search about, even if you are Jordanian or Syrian or Palestinian, if you go back to your history of your family, you will find that one of your grandfathers came from Arabian Peninsula. For example, like my family. My family exists in Jordan and Palestine, for example. But my grandfather, he came from Arabian Peninsula, from Saudi Arabia. So all the people, they came aslan from Yemen, and they separated to Arabian Peninsula, and then they separated for what? For all other countries right here. Okay, so here I'm talking about the Phoenician, the Phoenician Empire, and as I told you, they spent the same, they took the same place, which is the Canaan place, the Canaan area. And then by 1200 BC, BC here it means before Christ. Christ اللي هو Jesus Christ, المسيح عليه السلام. They put the history before the birth of Jesus Christ. And there's another history that comes after the birth of the Jesus Christ. Okay, so some history before it, we call it BC. And some history after it, we call it AD. AD, which means the Gregorian date that we are knowing right now. طيب, the Phoenician controlled a long strip of land that extended along the Mediterranean Sea. As you can see, they took the land from here to here, all by the Phoenician Empire, the Mediterranean Sea, and formed many separate city-states. The Phoenician depends on sailing in order to trade their products. طيب, those Phoenician people, they lived in here. But how they lived? What they depended on to eat, and they depended, of course, on the weather to have their own farms here. And whenever they go, they will leave a city. They will make a city in there. They will bring the people to live in there, and they will make it big and civilized city. They have Arwad, we have Metropolis, we have Byblos, we have Beirut, Sidon, Sarepta, we have Tyre, Akko, Atlit. These are the names of the Phoenician Empire cities. Jaffa, we have Ashkelon. So Jaffa, from 3,000 years until now, it has the same name and the same place, Jaffa. Beirut also the same thing. And there's another area in Syria, it's called Baalbek. Not Syria, in Lebanon, sorry. It's called the Baalbek. You will find also some ruins of the Phoenician Empire in there. So there's a lot. This is Baalbek. There's a lot of cities that have something that left from those Phoenician empire. Okay, let's flip the page and go for 102. Okay, the people of the Phoenician Empire, they depended also, along with the farms, they depended on sailing. Why? Because they lived, of course, near of the Mediterranean Sea. So if you live beside a sea, you have to learn how to cross the sea to go to other areas to explore, to hunt some fish, to go fishing, to bring other resources for your family and for your cities. So they went to make their own boats and their own ships. So the Phoenician Empire was very famous of making what? Of making ships. One of the first civilizations ever to have ships was the Phoenician Empire. The main trading ship which the Phoenician used in their trading journey was called the galley. The galley was a kind of ship that they used to what? This is the galley. It's a what? It's a very very big ship at
Oh, I
the time,
know it.
and the people they used to use the oars to move the ship. Yani they don't have engine, they don't have anything like we have right now. So they depend to put the people right here, and they will bring the oars and move it up and forth, back and forth until they move in the sea. So it's a very, very big one, and it's a very famous and strong ship. They use it also in wars, not only in go fishing or go to explore. They used it also in wars between their country and other countries, or their empire and other empire. What we call this type of ship, we call it galley. Galley. Galley ship. They used it in hunting, go hunting fishes, hunting, exploring, and also wars. Three things, because they lived beside the sea. Where did the Phoenicians sail to? طيب, now they have the ship. Where did they go when they went to use those ships? They went to many places, actually. They went to Africa. Let me show you. So this is the Phoenician Empire, and this is Africa. This is Africa. All of this is Africa, okay? And this is the Phoenician Empire right here, along with the Mediterranean Sea. Now they have their own ships and their own galley. Where they sailed? They sailed all over the Mediterranean Sea. They went to Spain. This is Spain. They went to Italy. You see this Italy, like the shape of shoes, high heels? Can you see it? It's like a leg and high heels. This is Italy.
Yeah.
This is Italy, okay? So they went to Italy, they went to Spain, they went to the northern of Africa, they went to Tunisia, they went to Algeria, they even went to Tunisia and made the city of Carthage. City of Carthage was made by the Phoenician Empire. They went also to Turkey, Cyprus, Cyprus, yani. They went to Turkey right here. This is Turkey. They went to Cyprus right here. This is Cyprus, Cyprus. They went also to Egypt. They went to Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Spain, Italy. All of these areas, they were invaded and they were visited by the Phoenician people. And then from there, they went to the Atlantic City. They went from the Mediterranean Sea and they sailed until they get out to the open ocean, Atlantic Ocean. They went outside along and beside Europe until they reached Britain. Imagine, they reached Britain, and they lived in Britain, by the way. Some of the colonies right there was made by the Phoenician Empire. So those people we are talking about, civilization that didn't only last in one place, but they wanted to explore everything around them, that they went for Asia, for Africa, and even for Europe. Three continents they visited. And we are talking about people who lived before almost 3,000 years ago. Yani people, they didn't have that much of technology, but they have their own civilization and they have their own brains that they wanted to explore and to know more about the world. That's why they went outside to know more. So the Phoenicians sailed to Europe and Africa. They reached Spain, where they found the city of Cadiz. When they went to Spain, they made a city. This city name is Cadiz. And then also they sailed to British Isles to search for tin. They searched in here for the ocean to search for the tin and for the fish and to fish some of the fish and some of the sharks, some of the meat, yani, for their country. They also sailed to Africa where they founded the colony of Carthage. Carthage is in Tunisia. As I told you, this is the country of Tunisia. They made what? Carthage city in there. What were their most famous invention? Go to the next page 103 and let's see what are the most of the things that they left behind them. One of the things that they left behind them, my girls, let me show you. Most of the things they left behind them was what? The Phoenicians were the first people who used the Egyptian hieroglyphics and Mesopotamian coin form, which was pictographic, depending on the pictures, to create the first widely used alphabet. So let me show you this to show you what I mean. This is one of the of the stone areas that was the people of the Phoenician Empire. They used to write on the stones and on the caves and on whatever they found. طيب. The Phoenician Empire was the first empire ever to have their own alphabet. طيب, before that, yeah, miss, there was no people writing before the Phoenician people. The Phoenician people were the first people who made the alphabet. Before the Phoenician people, the people they used to talk, but they didn't use to write. Nobody knows how to write. So the first people who made their own alphabet was what? Was the Phoenician people. طيب, you will ask, what about the pharaohs who lived in Egypt? طيب, الفراعنة. الفراعنة, they have their own language, but their language, we call it hieroglyphic language. Hieroglyphic language, my girls, they don't have alphabet. They have pictures. And every picture have a meaning. From that meaning, they can make what? They can make a sentence. Like, for example, the shape of a falcon, it means A. The shape of a hand, it means B. The shape of a leg, it means B. So if I want to write a sentence, for example, I want to say, for example, how are you? I will use H, I will use this picture, and I will go for O. Where's O? I will draw this picture. And W, I will draw a bird. This is how. And then I want to write R. I will draw, yes. If I want to write R, I will put a falcon. And then I will put this shape. And then I'll put this shape. This is how R. And then U, I will put what? I will put this shape. And then the O. And then I will go for the U. This is how they draw their own language. Yani they didn't have alphabet, they have pictures. Okay? And these pictures, after that, it becomes a language. That's why we call it hieroglyphic language. And by the way, the people who discovered the name and how, this is how they wrote. You see, this is language. This is a sentence, by the way. Tick, 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 like this. This is sentence for them. But they didn't have alphabet. هي الحروف. They didn't have حروف. They didn't have letters. They have only pictures. They call it hieroglyphic language. So the Phoenician people who came after the Egyptian civilization, they took the hieroglyphic language, and from that they made their own what? Their own language based on alphabet and on letters. This is how they made it. Every letter, it has a shape, but this shape we can call it letter. You see, this is this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is E. So all of them, they have what? They have the same shape. We call it in Arabic اللغة المسمارية. المسمارية because it looks like nails. We call it nail language. It was one of the first languages that were ever made, and the first language to have alphabet ever. It was the Phoenician language. And upon that, we had after that the people who came after that, and after that, they made it develop, develop, develop until we have the alphabet that we know it right now, which is the letters. You see how the history go? So girls, if you right now be able to read and be able to write, you have to be grateful for that. Because if you imagine that there's people who came before 3,000 years and 2,000 years ago, if you lived with them at that time, you wouldn't be able to read anything or to write anything, and you have to come up with your own language. But now, Alhamdulillah, we are not only learning our Arabic language, no, we are exposed to other languages. We are learning English, we learn French, we learn Arabic. So we learn all type of languages over the world. If you know these languages, you can conquer the world by only the language. But those people were struggling so much, they just wanted to make their own language so they can write their history and what's going on with them. And maybe one of the reasons why we don't know a lot about history, because the people Aslan before the Phoenician and the Pharaohs, they didn't know how to write. So we don't know anything about them. But if they write their own history, of course we will come to read it and we will know what happened to them if we have anything written. But if people don't write, why we write Aslan? For example, imagine that we don't know how to write, or how we don't have language. طيب? We will live, 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 and when we become, for example, how much? 100 years. After that, we will die. Okay? The children will come after us. They will grow also, and they will die. The children, they will grow and die. And then after that, the people who come after 1,000 years, they will not know what happened with my time and your time. They will not know what happened in 2020. Why? Nobody wrote. But because we have the language, we are writing for the people. Oh, coronavirus came. Now we shut down all the schools. Now we are sitting in schools. So maybe in 200 years, 300 years, the people who come after us, they will know what happened at that time. They will say, oh, in 2002, 20, Wallah, there was a big pandemic, and that pandemic, it's called coronavirus. And the people, they didn't go outside for a long time. So they would know
And it was awful.
what kind of events we have in our history. That's why writing is always connecting with what? With history. No writing, no history. So the first people who created alphabet to make history was the Phoenician people. Before them, we don't know that much, unfortunately. Where did the Phoenicians sail? This is what we said, and this is one of their civilization that they left after them, which is the Mesopotamian cuneiform language, the written language that they have. The beginning of the alphabet was followed by the beginning of teaching. After they have the alphabet and they have their own letters, now they were able to teach people how to write and to teach people how to learn. And from that, we can teach people how to write and to learn and to make your own history. Another important Phoenician invention was purple dye. They sold purple clothes only to the rich since it was very expensive. Reality wore robes of tyrant purple. Let me show you this, my girls. This is the last thing I want to show you.
Miss,
This
can
is
I
what we
ask you
call
a
it. This is
question?
what we call it, my girls. Purple. This is what we call it. La ilaha illallah. Let me have it. Another important
Tyrian
definition was
purple?
purple dye. Purple dye. What I mean about purple dye اللي هي الصبغة البنفسجية. Before the Phoenician people, nobody knows how to get out this color. When the Phoenician people came, they get out the purple dye out of shells and out of some of the rocks, and they make their own dye. When they dyed the clothes at that time, they sold it only to the rich people and to the royalty people. Why? Because it was very expensive to do that. It was very rare. The people who know how to do it were very few, and it was very rare and expensive. So who can afford that? The rich people and the royalty people, the people from the royal family. And this is one of the shapes of their clothes. Purple. When they made it, they call it Tyran purple. أو the fabric, the purple fabric اللي هو القماش البنفسجي. Okay, let me show you a little shapes right here of the things. This is one of the things that they left behind them. This is one of the things of the fabric that they made of purple. And this is a Phoenician tree. Her age is more than 3,000 years. This one.
Miss, is it still living until now, the tree?
Yes, 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 yes. There are some trees, by the way, their age is more than 5,000. If you go for some places in the earth. There's a lot of other places that have long trees like this. This is the galley ship that I told you about. This is a drawing, a real drawing of it. And this is how's the shape when we draw it right now. And this is how they invaded the places. They went from the Mediterranean Sea to go until they reach Africa, Europe, and Asia. This is Carthage city, Phoenician city in Tunisia. This is how they made it. And this is the alphabet that they made. This is the alphabet that they made. You see, even their shapes is similar to the English language. This is like T, this is
Yes.
like Y, this is like Z, this is like O. So this is the first alphabet that we ever have. Okay, my girls. These are the information about the Phoenician Empire. I hope that you enjoyed it. Do you have any question, my girls?
Miss, so
No.
like after 100 or 300 years, are the letters going to change again?
Or what?
Or are letters that we did right now, the letters that we know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, are they going to change after 300
No,
years
no.
again?
For the English language, it will not change. Maybe there will be other languages added to the languages that we know. Yani maybe there will be a new language that come up with its own letters and their own alphabet. But for the English language, of course, it will not change. For the Arabic language, of course, it will not change. خلاص. They have their own alphabet, their own words. خلاص. We know it, we understand it, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, my girls, I hope that you enjoyed. I will leave you right now, inshallah, and I will see you later in English. Bye bye.